sessions. That could be really interesting. And today I am joined yet again by Stevan. Welcome, mate.
Thank you for having me once again, Jamie. It's good to be alongside you again. I heard you laugh once again because you're a Muppet, but yeah, I'm glad to be alongside you once again and looking forward to this Grand Prix. And like you said, we've got a wet qualifying today, so it's going to be a very exciting qualifying session right here for the drivers and us, of course.
And we've got an Alfa Romeo making his way around the final corner. That is Javoon Visser, so it's not the wet tyres being used. It's not standing water, so these drivers can manage it as we're going on board with Javoon, headed down into T number 1. I believe he has got a qualifying ban, he's just said in the chat, so I don't think he'll complete this lap. He has to back out of it before he crosses the line, so he doesn't register a lap time on the board. But I've done some practice with some. Oh, Mark's back in the race, but he's retired in the pit lane as Javoon there has a snap of oversteer headed into turn number 4. Apologies about tonight if you can hear me and Stevan sniffing. That's because we're both ill, but we still managed to make it.
Nah, we're just sniffing cocaine right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the way to do it, really. And we can see a few more retirements, and I believe one of them's on track because, as you can see in the full map, we've got Williams and McLaren. Both have crashed. The exit of turn 4 and turn 6. And Marty's gone as well.
Another time, both McLaren's gone here in this qualifying session. The first one being bumpy in the infamous turn 4, lost it on the exit, probably on the curb. And then both Evans and Marty lost it in sector 1. Marty on the exit of turn 2 and Evans on the exit of turn 3 here, where Marcus Ericsson crashed in 2014. So it proves to be very tricky conditions right here. Seems like the Inters are very tough to get in a proper operating window here, as Jeroen got fastest here. Don't think I'm not sure if he's got a qualifying ban. I'm not sure about that one because provisional pole for the moment, but it's important for the drivers just to get the tires in a good operating window and do a couple laps in a row here.
Yeah, so that's very interesting because Jeroen, I'm not sure if he was trolling me or not before the race, but he's currently set provisional pole, unless it's getting very dry towards the end, who knows, but that's a lap time registered on the board. We've got a few more. We've got Mick, who's in the AlphaTauri, replacing Supermug into P3 as Nathan smashes it with a 28.0 then as he takes pole by 3/10. Remember, Javoon Visser and Nathan had their scrap at the final few laps of the Imola Grand Prix, and Nathan came out on top as Pyro goes quickest with a 27.9. He's got good qualifying pace as Pyro, proving to be once again as Dual is up into P2 in the Aston Martin, separated by 1400 between the two, so good pace from him in the Aston Martin. He showed it in the Imola Grand Prix in the qualifying, did do well. He's pretty handy in these wet conditions, and he's up there yet again. We've got Ferg, who's crossed the line with a 27.7, and he's 2/10 clear away from Pyro then. And Harvey Lees on his return is up into P2. In fact, Harvey Lees replaces Supermug, as Supermug has got a 2-race ban, which doesn't matter anyway because there's only 2 races left, so he won't participate in this last few races of the season. Leo in P1 ahead of Walter. Good lap time from him. Leo's had a pretty decent season, it must be said. He did miss out on a few podiums last time out. I think this season for him has gone quite deep. He could do next season with a 27.0 up there on the top of the board. Remember, you want to be doing more than one lap on the wet tyres, because the more laps you do, the better it gets, as the surface of the tyres doesn't heat up quite as much as the dry tyres, whereas you don't want to do more than one lap on the dry tyres, otherwise it overheats, and the Inters doesn't do that. You can go as many laps as you want as long as you got the fuel, and you can see some drivers doing so. I'm on board with Ferg. He's 2/10 up already in the middle sector as more drivers have crossed the line, and Wesley's got into P6 there with a 27.8 on his second lap, separated by Harvey Lees by 4 thousandths, and I think Ferg is next across the line in the Mercedes.
Indeed, like you said, the more laps the drivers will do will make sure the track, of course, improves, as there will be a more of a drier line to appear here. As Leo goes into the pits right here, has actually done a pretty good first lap there. About 4 tenths quicker than everyone else before some drivers did their second run here. So pretty impressive lap there from the Williams. And the more laps the drivers do, you can clearly see the line, the track will improve and the times will come down even more and more. talking about Pyro, he recently did his first no-sis race in EML, and that went quite well, but until he actually spins right now. I'm not sure if he's got no assist at the moment, but he did quite well in the race around Abu Dhabi before having a slight incident there in EML. But he's done pretty well so far. He's currently in P9 before spinning out there, so he's probably gonna cool his tires and go for another one soon.
I did see on the full map, as talk about Alpines, we've got one to cross the line, which is Liam, up into P3 with a 27.2. And a Haas has just spun, that's Steiny, I think.
Could be, but just interrupting you quickly here, Pyro was spinning again and met an AlphaTauri on his lap, which was Mick, and Pyro or Mick had to completely get out of the way of Pyro here. It was quite a dangerous move there, as Pyro was on the middle of the track sideways and Mick really thick avoiding action here. So the drivers have to be aware of each other on track here.
I know. I saw Mick have a problem down at turn 4, headed to turn 5. He was not on a lap, was Mick. And Pyro, I did see him spin at the exit of turn 3, not personally, but I did see him spin on the map. He was stationary for a few seconds, so Pyro here is really struggling at the moment. He's in the pit lane, so hopefully he can get a lap together to try and get himself further up the grid. The Ferrari of Walton next to cross the line as he makes his way around that final corner. Very difficult final corner indeed to put the power down, especially in these conditions. And he makes his way towards the line at 27.0. That is so close. We've got 3 drivers within a 27.0 here, so margins between them, especially in these wet conditions here.
Indeed. But that sums up that Leo's first lap was pretty impressive as Wouter, the champion of Tier 1, can't get. Is very close, but not close enough quite yet. And with the truck improving, with drivers staying more laps, it just clearly shows that Leo's first lap was quite good. But times will come down more and more as drivers now lower down will set better times here. As on board with Duo at the moment is improving by 2/10, coming around the final corner here. Does a 27.7. Into the top 10 right now, just ahead of Harvey, who's also starting, or actually in a cooldown lap right now, about to start a second run here. But decent lap there from Duo, about 2/10 away from Jeroen, who's just on sector 1, a 30.2, improving by about 2/10 here. So times are coming down, and it's going to be really interesting to see who's going to be the final one on the lap, as actually Jeroen invalidates right now on that run we were just talking about.
Yeah, track limits here is tough, especially the exit turn number 4 and turn 5. I think the left-hander, it's very easy to go out wide through there. We've seen plenty of it in the past. I think track limits will be a big issue around here, especially during the race as well. So let's see how many drivers pick up a penalty during the race. But Jeroen is heading into the pit lane then, and while you have a perfect lap, that he gets ruined by just going slightly wide, and that just ruins everything and unfolds that lap, and you've got to go again. We've got plenty of time left in this qualifying session. We've got Sieb making his way towards the pit lane then as he ends those tyres run on. He's done 4 laps on those set of compound tyres. And a lot of drivers then go for more than 1 lap, as you expect on the intermediates, as you can do, as long as you got the fuel as well. You want to be fueling that car for more than a few laps, especially in these wet conditions here, because the tyres don't drop off and they don't overheat dramatically like the softs do, because the soft compound tyres can do 1 flying lap, then afterwards it's done. Even though the tyres are not that old, it's just the tyres just heat up so quickly, and that's why it's so important to get them into a working temperature range. About 85 degrees, 90 degrees you want your tyres to be before you start a lap. Any more higher than that, look, at the end of the lap you'll be struggling with overheating tyres, especially in the third sector where it's very demanding and tricky. You've got slow speed corners which you need to get a decent exit as well out of there. It's so easy to lose traction. And we've gone board with Leo then, our current pole sitter, on his first lap on his brand new set of the intermediate tyres then, and I don't think the track is drying up anytime soon, so I think it's going to be in to start this session then, and let's see who can maximise these conditions. But we've got an Williams, and that's an Alpine in the way, and Pyro then.
Wait, did you see that on the stream?
Yeah, I did.
I think there's a tyre in turn 3. A random tyre just leaving on the surface here.
I didn't
check again.
I didn't see a tyre, but I did see Pyro's car in the way.
Oh, that's definitely a floating tyre there on the exit of turn 3. Just on board with Harvey, who's improving by 2/10. There is a tyre on track. If you go on board with Diversify quickly, look, if you look on the right now.
Oh yeah, I see it. No, it's gone now. It's gone.
It's gone now. Well done, FI. Another bug in the F1 game, just showing a tire on the surface here. Gotta admire it. Codemasters.
Anyways, we got Leo then. He was up in the first. I didn't see his middle sector because I went on board with Reservoir to share that tyre. But has Leo then, can he get himself in the 26 as he makes his way towards the line? Yes, he can. Smashes it by 6/10. Wow, what a lap time there from the Williams. Both Williams have been very handy in these wet conditions. But unfortunately, as I say that, Joshua's retired. And what could he have done if he didn't make that mistake down at turn number 4? Yeah, it was turn 4 because we saw the McLaren crash at turn 5 as both McLarens are out of the session. So what could have Josh? Oh, I can't even speak tonight. What Josh could have done in this qualifying session? Still didn't say that right, but never mind. We'll leave it there. But Liam then in the Alpine, he's improving in the middle sector by a few hundreds, and let's see if he can continue this great form as he makes his way towards the end of the middle sector. Now let's see how much time he. Oh, he's lost 2.5 seconds, so he's not on a lap time. Is the Williams just trying to see who's coming towards the line? I think an AlphaTauri is, and that is C then making his way towards the final corner, but doesn't look like he's on a lap because he's turned the EOS off, and I think he's going for another push lap on those set of intermediate tyres, as we've got a Williams and Alpine making his way towards the line next, and it's going to be Liam, and he's not on a lap time there, but the red boy is behind, and that is Nathan, and Nathan makes his way towards the line, and he goes second place with a 26.8, and he's 4/10 away from what Leo could do in that Alpine. However, Wouter there doing consecutive lap times, done 6 laps on those intermediates, maybe past their best now. As you can see, the fuel light is on, so I think he needs to head back in the pits and put on a brand new set of inters to increase his chances of taking pole position here for tonight. Harvey Lee's out there. You did say he's improved in the first sector, but in the middle sector's lost a bit of time, and Nathan's crashed.
Nathan crashed in at the exit, same place as Evans did just now. Early on this qualified session, so that means he's only maximum gonna be P2, and but I think you said Wouter's done 6 laps on those tires. I think most guys behind him are gonna just improve here, and the gap between him and Leo is quite massive. 4/10 is a huge gap there from between those guys, so really good lap there by Leo, but Nathan is gonna hope he's at the end of the session he's still within the top 6 here. Other drivers will just improve and have the laps get faster and faster.
And talk about getting faster, we see a Ferrari of AJ improving in the middle sector by 5/10, so he's on a good lap time. Can he hook it up together? Can he find even more time to try and get himself in the 26s? Might be on the borderline 26 here, 26.9, 27.0, depends how much time he can find in his final sector. He makes his way towards the line there. What's he going to be? A 27.1, so I was close, but he did lose a little bit of time. He lost a 10th in the final sector, and he puts himself into 4th place with a 27.1 on the board. Leroy in P7. They're not had the best of seasons, has Leroy, and he's currently on a push lap. He's improving by a few hundreds in the first sector as well, and he's currently in P7, so that'll be a good result for him if he can hook it up in this middle sector here, the most difficult part of the circuit in my opinion. Turn 4, I dare say, is another difficult part as well. It's not difficult, it's just so easy to exit, invalidate your exit through there, heading into turn number 5. But we've got Leroy there making his way towards turn number 14. Let's see how he can take it in this middle sector here. You can see the back end just wanted to step out. As you can see there, playing with the throttle to see how much, see how early he can get on the throttle. As you can see there, try and use the throttle to turn in even more. Leroy makes his way around the corner. It's a 27.2. He has improved, but his position stays the same as he remains in P7, then just ahead of Mick and behind AJ in the Mercedes. And Alfa Romeo's next across the line. I think that's Jeroen Visser, and he goes P5 just behind Walter. It's a 27.0 for him, and he's 300 quicker than first. So these times keep improving as the drivers start to find more confidence in these conditions, knowing where they can push and knowing the limits of the track without evaluating it. So in his final stage of qualifying, who could be on pole? Is it going to be Leo? Is it going to be Liam? No, it's not going to be Liam because he was just retired in the session. He's retired in the pit lane, so that was his call to retire in the pit lane. He did crash on track. Can it be Jeroen or can it be Walter who's on his out lap? And it'll be his final lap will Walter, so it has to count. And let's see then in these final stages who's got the pressure, who can ramp up the pressure to take pole position.
Indeed. Off stream you didn't manage to catch Liam's lap, who went second with a 26.7 here. quite a decent lap there, and just didn't have enough time left to go to the pits and do another run here. And Mick also improved his time to 27.4, quite a big gap compared to the top guys here, because he's about 3 tenths away from Leroy, who's about 4 tenths away from Wouter here. So the gap between from 8th and to the rest of the grid is huge. So I think all of the other guys are down lower in the grid are just struggling to get the tires working in the right window here, and generally finding some speed here.
I see a lot of drivers, I agree with you, Stefan. I see a lot of drivers then making their way towards the line to start their final flying lap of the qualifying session. AJ's lost time. He was up in the first sector, but he looks like he's backed off in this middle sector. He's got 20 seconds left to cross the line. Can he get that final lap in? I'm not quite sure. We've got the AlphaTauri next across the line. Let's see where he goes. And he's up into P13. That's Steve Raw Gamer. And that's a Ferrari of Walter on his final lap. Leo's retired at turn number 3, at the exit of turn number 3, and that's his qualifying session done. But can AJ make it to the line in time? Yes he can, yes he can. So that's his final flying lap then. And behind AJ will come the Red Bull of De Griff, who's improved in the middle sector by 5 tenths then. So he's currently sitting in P16 of the top of the 16 times, been sat on the board. Where can he go as he makes his way towards the line? It's going to be 16th place still for him, but he did improve quite a lot. Steiny goes into P9 there in the Haas, just breaks through into the top 10. And we've got Duwall, who's not on an improvement here in the Aston Martin then, so he will not improve on his position. He's in the pit lane, or headed towards the pit lane. Mick coming towards the final corner, improved by 2 tenths then. Let's see where the AlphaTauri driver can go. It's going to be P9 ahead of Steiny, his fellow ILT driver teammate, as Ferg, QRT Leroy goes into P3, and Ferg, his teammate, goes into P6 then. So both good push laps there from Resify. Let's have a go on board with him.
Goes P7.
Oh! Harvey Lees half spun the car at the final corner, and that's his lap time view. He was up by 3 tenths, but let's go on board with Javoon. He puts that Alfa Romeo into P2, and what off of Wouter? 1 tenth up. This 1 tenth is not enough to get himself into pole position, so let's see where he can end up then as he makes his way towards the line. Is it going to be pole? No, it's not. It's going to be P2. He did find a lot of time in that last sector. It's a 26.5, 1 tenth away from Leo then. So Leo claims his first pole position of the season ahead of Wouter and Javoon. Some big names here. What a pole position that time that was from Leo. He retired in the pit lane and watched on from the circuit, saw his fellow competitors, didn't take pole position away from him, and he ends up on pole in the Williams then. So good job there from Leo. I saw Nathan's comment there. Mark does have a qualifying ban, not Javoon. So Javoon tricked me into that one. Liam in P4, good job from him. Leroy, what a qualifying session that was for him. It's going to be a good confidence booster for tonight's race. Nathan P6 ahead of AJ P7, Ferg P9, Resify P9, Mick in P10, Stanley P11, Harvey Lees in P12, Dewell P13, Steve P14, Pyro P15, DeGriff P16, and 4 drivers did not set a lap time due to 1 qualifying ban and 3 crashes.
Indeed, very exciting qualifying session. It's interesting to remember as well that Leo didn't do a final run, as he crashed out on his final run here, and he's completely he made a mistake on his final run here, but without even doing a final run, he still had enough margin to get that get pole position here by a tenth and a half. So I'd say it was a pretty comfortable pole position for himself. But if we now switch over to the race now, you can clearly see completely different conditions here compared to qualifying, as it's dry conditions here for the race. So I reckon it's going to be a one-stop strategy here. Guys usually starting on the medium tires and then switching over to the hard tires to finish off the race. You could potentially see a different strategy here, maybe using softs, but overtaking is very difficult here, so expect guys to go for track position here and just generally saving ERS, and of course safety cars could spice up the strategy here, but if it's going to be a normal race, expect a one stop.
High chance of safety cars appearing in this race as we've seen before, so let's see them when they appear, because it can benefit some people and can really disadvantage some people. So Harvey Lee is the only man on the soft compound tyres. They could be dead within a few laps time. And Evans, Joshua and Pyro then, 2 drivers on the medium compound tyres then, so they go for an aggressive strategy. Why not? Because they're currently way further down the field and essentially got nothing to lose, so they might as well go for the opposite strategy and see how that pans out. They should be quicker at this early stage of the race than once it comes to the lap 13-14 pit over to the hard compound tyres. But the rest of them, normal strategy, one stop, and it's going to be hards to mediums for the rest, except Harvey, Harvey, Evans and Pyro.
Well, I don't think the soft time might be a bad call at all. I did just say, of course, a one-top is the usual strategy around here, but if you can get the soft tires to work very early on, gain a lot of positions from that, and then switch over to the mediums, that means you can gain time on those hard runners as you can have fresher tires, and then you're able to push on that set, and yeah, you can push on that set and then just gain time in clean air, as dirty air will be a massive factor here, with I think most of the guys being on the same page pretty much and able to follow each other. So I reckon Harvey's going to be one to look out for this race.
Bearing in mind a lot of drivers have brand new sets of softs, mediums and hards because of that wet qualifying session then, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this race pans out. Will it be a one stop or two stop? Who knows? And Leroy's been disqualified, but that doesn't matter anyway because he's made his way towards the line. But out in front, who can take the lead of the Grand Prix? Walter will have the inside line, as we see an Alpine there spinning to get the extra bit of temperature in his tyres as much as he can. As got Marty make his way around the final corner, and a few more disqualifications. And what can Leo do then? Can he get a good start off the line? We're about to find out in a few seconds time once everybody lines up and the lights go out then for round 14. The penultimate race of the season is about to get underway as we see the lights then. And they're away. Let's see who gets the better start off the line. Not got the best camera angle, but we're going on board with Walter because he's about to take the lead of the race with a much better start, followed by Jeroen Visser and followed by the Alpine, making 4 abreast into turn 1 we go. But let's see then who backs out of that one because they don't want to go 3 wide, but they're still making it 3 wide as the Alfa Romeo is completely sandwiched in between the two. As you can see there, the Williams and Leo backs off into P4. He goes, unfortunately. Liam and Jeroen go side by side, but Jeroen has the inside line unless Liam can go all the way around the outside, have the inside of the next corner, but he's not alongside, and unfortunately has to back up. There's more contact in the background there. We've got Alpine spinning, and that is Pyro who's gone for a spin. Did see a carbon fibre go off somebody's car. The Harvey Lees is up into P6 from starting in 12th place then. So those soft compound tyres gave him a massive. Oh, Ferg's got a 5-second time penalty, and Marty's retired, and I think a safety cars came out.
No, it's Virgil safety car here, as the safety car has not shown or not appeared on track. But like you said, Jamie, Harvey with an amazing start here, getting 6 positions, and it clearly shows the soft tires has worked out. And we mentioned, of course, Harvey's one to watch out for, and he gained 6 positions after 1 lap alone, and I reckon he's going to be looking out for more. After the start, quickly moving on to Leo. Quite unfortunate there, going I think 4 wide like you said in turn 1, and you unfortunately just got squeezed wide a bit from the guys on the inside. So Totai lost 4 or 3 positions early on in this race as the virtual safety car is out now, which will bunch the cars up a bit as they have to be on the same pace, as both Aston Martins are in. The same for Pyro here, so a bit of disaster for Aston Martin here.
Yeah, it is indeed, and they're going to have to double stack as well. It could be even more pain and time loss as well as we get racing once again. Then as the virtual safety car disappears, what can Liam do then in P3? He was in this position in Abu Dhabi when he was fighting Walter for the lead of this race, and now he's currently sat in P3. Leo unfortunately lost that position. He's down as P4. I think I remember both Williams having trouble in Abu Dhabi, then they came back to finish on a double podium, and here they are once again. Liam got the rest of the race to go. Can he make up those positions he's gained? It's going to be quite difficult from there, being that DRS train, and obviously a DRS train is a big key around here, which could be very difficult to overtake around Hungary. So I think that it's all down to the pit stops, whether he pits one lap earlier than the rest of them to try to do the undercut on these guys ahead. But so far he's currently stuck in P4 and he's waiting for the DRS to be activated to get that boost down the straight. And Harvey Lees then with those soft compound tyres looking to put pressure on the Red Bull and Nathan ahead of him, and Harvey Lees returning after a massive absence. I remember his first win at the British GP when he was fighting for Ferg at the first race of the season, won the first Grand Prix, and his only win of the season as well. He's currently fighting the back of Nathan, who's currently fighting for P2 in the championship as he sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Now, that's with the help of the virtual safety car, because it did disappear when some others were coming towards turn number 1 and 2. But DRS zone is enabled. It's not enabled on this part. Remember, there's only one DRS zone for 2 straights as well, so you're going to be wise to choose your overtakes around here, because if you Joshua and Bob are fighting for P40 and P50, they go side by side then as we make our way down into turn number 2, and Bompier is dropped into P15 because Joshua's got that covered, and he moves himself up into P14 after both drivers crashing out in qualifying, gain up some positions, as Joshua on the medium compound tyres, utilising them to try and make his way further up the field, as the rest of them are on the hard compound tyres except Harvey Lee's ahead of him.
As we see now on board with Leroy here, he's the first one to fall outside the DRS window from basically P2 onwards, as Wouters 1.8 seconds clear of Jeroen. So Jeroen is leading the DRS train at the moment, and it's being cut off by Leroy, who seems to be struggling a bit in terms of pace. The cars ahead are all on the soft tires, as AJ is also now falling outside the 1 second window. So not quite what we expected, to be honest, as there are now cars, as our gaps starting to appear, as Wouters sets a new fast lap with a 19.9 here. Good lap from Wouters there, who's now 1.6 clear of Jeroen, but gaps are starting now to appear. Harvey trying to use the soft tires to full effect, as we got yellow flags. It's Pyro spinning again, about to be lapped here as he spun in turn 4, but there's starting to be gaps. There's gaps starting to appear here in the field, so expect maybe cars behind who are following cars who are then falling behind others, as Leroy makes a big mistake now, which sees Sieb now having an opportunity to overtake him, but there's gaps starting to appear and others are looking to go past.
Nathan will be glad when Harvey Lee's tyres are finished, because Harvey Lee's is putting massive pressure on Nathan JB right ahead of him, and once those tyres start to fade away, that's when Nathan can breathe a bit and start focusing on Leo. He doesn't want to let that soft rudder get ahead of him, but it won't be bad, because that soft rudder will be pitted very soon once those tyres will fade away, because soft tyres around here is a massive killer, and I dare say a lap 8 or lap 9, that's when the tyres will start to drop off. We'll be in the pits very shortly when Nathan will be relieved of the pressure from Harvey, but it's doing a good job to keep him behind. He did fancy a move into turn number 1 a lap before. Oh, he's hit the wall and he's lost his front wing. Harvey Lee's there, getting on the curb, losing traction, and unfortunately has hit the wall. And that's a killer right there for Harvey Lee's. They're trying to set up an overtake on Nathan, but just understeered onto the curb, and that's what caused him to lose traction. And unfortunately there, has dropped all the way to the back of the field. However, we can see a big battle between Sieb and Mark going side by side into turn number 2 we go. Can Mark stick around the outside to go down the inside? He'll try to. Yes, he will do. Then Mark makes the move on Sieb, and what a move that was from Relentless Mark there. Up into P10 he goes ahead of the AlphaTauri. That was a brilliant move what I just seen from Mark there, sticking around the outside of the inside line for the next corner and taking the racing line away from Sieb. That's how he's done it in racing, and he moves up into P10. However, we've got yellow flags further ahead, and that is Pyro.
Pyro again now being lapped, being down in P19. I'm not sure what's happening with Pyro. He had the same issues in qualifying where he spun about 4 or 5 times, and now in the race.
Oh, talk about spinner. Talking about spinner, we've got his Alpine teammate who's just gone for a spinner. That's Pyro. Sorry, I thought that was his teammate. I'm so sorry. Apologies, Liam.
I think it's Alpine. I think we'll leave the spinning to Pyro, as Liam is still in P3 at the moment. In between Jeroen here, 1.6 behind Jeroen, and then another 1.5 ahead of Leo, who doesn't seem to have the same pace as he had in qualifying. Of course, being different conditions here, but Liam is in the league of his own pretty much for the moment.
Yeah, no threat from behind, and currently too far ahead, or too far behind of Jeroen to get the DRS. So is Jeroen really on Wouters. Can't get into the DRS. It's 1.6 seconds then. So top 4 there, just not under pressure from anybody, as Leo is under pressure there from Nathan, who's got DRS right behind them. So now Nathan's relieved of the pressure from Harvey Lee's, who's in the pit lane to change his front wing, and put on a brand new set of the medium compound tyres. They have brand new sets of tyres, these guys, so they shouldn't be struggling with tyres. But we've got a spinner, and that is Mick down at P15 there, going for a spin at turn number 5. I think he spun there in qualifying, did Mick. And Sieve has overtaken Joshua to go side by side there, so Joshua must have made a mistake now, because, no, I think that's Sieves who made a mistake, because he was behind Mark, and unfortunately there has lost ground towards Joshua then. And I wonder, did Sieve have a little bit of a moment in that middle sector? Did he get on the curbs? Did he lose the car a little bit on the exit? However, he's lost the place towards Joshua, and Bompier is right behind him too to take advantage. This is where Bompier scored his first ever podium in Cone Racing League. It was a interesting race, that one, because it was dry then wet. Then I think he went back to dry, and that's when Bompier was able to take advantage and claim a podium for his first podium in CRL. And those two are fighting for P12 and P13. Mick has got a 3-second time penalty in this race, and Ferg has a spot in P6, who's currently in the DRS train. So having a penalty this early in this race will not benefit you later on, because it can pick up penalties even more if you not be careful with track limits.
Indeed, I think Ferg's penalty was a 5-second penalty for gaining a position on the yellow flags. I'm not sure what the reason was exactly, but that does mean he has to serve those 5-second penalty with his next pit stop. And with the guys not having made a pit stop yet, he will fall behind Leroy currently, so that's not ideal for him, but it does show he does have the pace to follow Nathan and Leo, who's about to catch Liam to go within the DRS window. And if we were looking at the captain Jeroen and Wouter, it seems that Jeroen is slowly but surely closing that gap slightly to Wouter here. The gap was about 1.6 to 1.4 seconds it is right now. So gap is slowly but surely going down, as Liam cannot match the tempo of the leaders here. So interesting race so far, with Steiny also in the DRS window, and then Leroy basically having his own DRS train down in P9, about 3.5 seconds behind.
Yeah, that massive gap difference now between Liam and Jeroen. Liam is falling backwards, but still in P3. He's not under pressure from Leo, as Leo then trying to pick up the pace to try and get inside Liam's DRS, because once Leo can find a way into his DRS there, that means we'll have the straight line speed down the straight to keep Nathan and Co behind him, because he's currently the DRS provider from the guys behind. If he could just edge himself towards that DRS, it'd be better for him, as we won't have much pressure on the guys behind there. But look at Joshua, so close behind Mark. He's currently 3/10 away, but he's 2/10 now, so he's gaining even more on the driver ahead of him. Can he make a move down into turn 1 to try and get him into 10th place and focus on Leroy? Leroy's running his own race, 3.4 seconds behind Steiny, so not currently in the DRS train. Steiny, however, doing a good job there in P8, the highest IRT driver up there. And his Haas teammate is going to be under massive pressure, as he's drained the ERS, has Mark, but he does get DRS from the back of Leroy then, so it might help him just a little bit to keep Joshua behind him. But can Josh make a move down into turn number 1? Bompier has overtaken Sieb, who's sped in the pit lane and retired, so that's his race done and dusted for tonight. Not really a track many people enjoy, as you can probably tell why, as is people just say it's basically like Monaco but without walls.
Indeed, but then again, I'm not I cannot speak from personal experience, but you should never ever give up a league racing, since you can there always might be late safety.
Oh, Haas spun, and he's lost his front wing, and that is Steiny. Sorry to cut in there.
Well, no worries, we're literally just talking, it could be a safety car any moment now, and as you see now, there is the safety car on track, so perfect timing there, as Steiny has picked up some front wing damage after spinning in turn 4. But like we were talking about, there could always be a safety car in league racing, and as we're talking about it, the safety car comes out, so this will spice up the race for many here, as Mick, Resify, Duel and Harvey will now catch up to the back of the field. We see Wouter making their first come by pitting here. So we're gonna see alternative strategy here, as Jeroen does the same, Liam does the same, Leo comes in with Nathan as well, Ferg, AJ, Leroy, Mark, Evans coming in, Steiny of course coming in without front wing. But it is of course the one and only Bompy staying out, so he will take an effective P3 right now, I reckon, P4.
He needs to floor it down the straight if he wants to do that, but he can't do because of the delta he's got. But he's in P3 then, so the only man to stay out there. But bear in mind though, these guys have gone onto the medium compound tyres. If you're with this new patch, you can go back to the old strategy, so balance softer and harder. If you have softer strategy, you'll have 4 sets of softs, 1 set of mediums and 1 set of hards. If you have the balance strategy, 3 sets of softs. And I think many people or many drivers have gone for the balance strategy because you want those. They want those 2 extra set of mediums as they've been wanting ever since this patch came out, because I know a lot of people have been complaining about this patch where you only get 1 set of mediums and 1 set of hards for the race, and many drivers have thankfully got that back because it opens up more strategies and you have that extra set of mediums or extra set of softs if you want it during the race, just in case a safety car comes out like this and they put on a brand new set of mediums and they can't go towards the end. But if they chose the balance strategy, they'll have another set of mediums then to take towards the end. So it's helped them to get off the hard compound tyres, put on a brand new set of mediums, and once those mediums start running out, they could put on the mediums or soft depending on how many laps are left to go. Bompia, however, sticking to the one-stop strategy, he stayed out because there's track position, but he's got a bunch of medium runners right behind him who are waiting to pounce because those medium runners don't want to get stuck behind Bompia, risking the chances of the guys pulling away ahead of them or the guys overtaking behind. So Liam then, he really needs to find a way to pass Bompia to make sure he doesn't get swallowed up from the guys behind and held up too much from the two to pull away.
Indeed. Interestingly, everyone's on the mediums apart from Duel, Bompia and Evans here, who's gone on a fresh set of hard tires since he started on the mediums. But he's gonna be one to look out for, since I reckon he can go to the end of the Grand Prix. It's gonna be a bit of a stretch to get till the end of the race here, but if the medium runners start to struggle at some point during their stint, and Evans will catch up to them, and they still have to make a pit stop, then Evans looking quite good for a potential podium. Of course, he got a podium in Abu Dhabi, didn't he?
I think it was the post race. Yes, he did.
He did, but that just sums up that he's now on a fresh set of hard tires, so he's second one to be looking out for, I reckon, in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, both Williams towards the end of the season have been looking mega strong, and they've been on good form ever since. I know Joshua, he's been strong in the wet conditions too, but he's delivered in these dry races as well. When it comes to wet conditions, both Williams are the ones to look out for. As you can see there, Leo taking pole position, but unfortunately, let's look back to the start. I think he should have covered the inside line, but it's impossible because Walter got a decent launch initially, so he couldn't have covered the inside line because he got swallowed up from the 3 behind him, and it was just in the wrong position at the wrong times. There was 3 wide, and I think Leo had to back out of that one because obviously they don't want to cause a crash. 3 to 1 doesn't go, and obviously you got the rest of the race to go. So Leo was in a really difficult position there at the start of the race, having the outside line into turn number 1, and unfortunately dropped into P4. And let's see if he can fight back then, try and at least gain a podium, because he didn't seem to have to match the pace of the top 2 as they were in a league of their own. But I think his challenge for tonight is Liam, judging by the pace on the first stint, unless something else happens dramatically. But the safety car is coming in then. I'm about to see the safety car restart. Let's see if he's got the temperature in the tyres. The guys behind Bompia will be itching to get past him as quickly as they can, so they're getting stuck behind him and allow the top 2 to pull away. It'll help the top 2 because they're able to use Bompia as a blockage from the guys behind, and Walter can choose whenever he wants to go, as it's right now. And look at the Williams and Leo. He's pulled alongside from the rear wing of the Alpine, and they're both about to attack Bompia to turn number 1. Leo backs out of it, as we can see Liam trying to go down the inside of Bompia, which he has done. And here comes Leo then. Can he get Bompia to turn 1 as well? Yes, he can. And it's all over the back of the Alpine of Liam, but Liam has him covered, and he remains in P4. The Ferrari versus the Mercedes, and that's a beautiful move there from AJ to get past Ferg. And Ferg's time penalty has been removed, as Nathan is going to go side by side with Bompia. Is he trying to go around the outside? Yes, he can. He stays on the track, and he doesn't exceed track limits, as Bompia's going to be sitting duck all the way on those hard compound tyres, unfortunately, as Mark takes advantage as he goes down the inside of Bompia. There's no way Bompia can fight as he goes over the curbs and off the track. And here comes AJ then around the outside of Bompia. He's just a sitting duck like Perez was at the Brazilian Grand Prix. and here comes Ferg, next one to take on Bob here with Evans Joshua, also on the brand new set of hard compound tyres. That's why he's not falling away, because in a brand new set of hards. Not ideal for him, but he does have to pit again, whereas the medium runners do, as they can't make it towards the end. Ferg, however, could not make a move on Bob here.
The problem with the force being on hard tires after a restart is it's just very difficult to get the tires in operating window, whilst the medium tires can be in a better tire temperature quicker. And you can clearly see that after losing 5 positions from the restart here, making it 6 as Ferg now goes down the inside of Bompier. Well, that just sums up the medium tires are very difficult to get into a right operating window here. And he's just got to get in the rhythm again and try to follow Ferg here, who's trying to push to the back of AJ here, as all the guys are in the DRS window, apart from Liam here, who just doesn't have the pace compared to the top 2 guys, who are now in a fight for the lead here, as Harvey's in the pit again for, I'm guessing, a new front wing here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Harvey Lee. He did a good job at the start of the race, moving 6 positions up. Unfortunately, went downhill from there. I don't know if he got himself involved in the contact, but that's the only reason why he's in the pit lane, it must be said. If he has sustained any front wing damages, because either Joshua getting much better, having a much better racing line than Bompier, he's all over the place on those hard compound tyres. As Joshua, his fellow half runner, is right behind him. And will he make a move down here? No, he didn't. We saw Pastor Maldonado bump into the Resta at this corner here back in 2012, pushed him off the track, I think it was, and he got himself a time penalty. Because Joshua then switching lines, going underneath him. Can he go around the outside into the last corner? And Wouter has set the fastest lap of the race. Joshua, however, getting frustratedly hauled up. We've got a massive train right behind us. Leroy to Griff, Steiny, Mick, and Joshua needs to get past Bumpy as quickly as they can, because the guys behind him on the medium compound tyres, as Leroy goes down the inside of Joshua, then into turn number 1 he goes side by side, but Joshua should have a better exit around the outside of turn number 1. Yes, he does then, and he remains ahead of Leroy. And that's crucial for him to keep his medium runners behind him, because they have to stop again, and Joshua doesn't want to let them go to pull that gap over him. Then once they go in the pit lane, put on a brand new set of mediums or softs towards the end, chasing Joshua down. So it's crucial for Joshua to keep them behind as much as he can. And Joshua next time out on the straight should get bumpier with the help of DRS then, so might suffer a bit of pain unless he can get down the inside here into the next 2 corners. No, he can't. Oh, he gets pushed off the track, and here comes Leroy, and here comes the Red Bull of to Griff then, and that's cost Joshua lots of time. And unfortunately there, Bompier.
It doesn't really matter as Evan, it's not really a proper overtaking opportunity there, right there in turn 7 that is, as it's such a tight corner, so Bobby is still ahead of Evans right there, so you can't really blame Bompier there for just taking the racing line there pretty much, and Evans is unfortunately being squeezed out there, losing positions to Leroy and Tegan now, who's using the ERS right here, trying to get past Bompier again, who's really struggling with those hard tires here. It doesn't seem like staying out under the safety car has worked out for him, as he's now down to P10, making that P11 as Tegan responds to him, and Evans using the DRS as well.
Oh!
Actually, past being Steiny. So Mick is also now in the battery, amazing scrap right there for P9 this is.
And you can see in the background there, we saw Rectify and Mick making contact. Both IRT drivers there getting too close for comfort, and Mick got forced off the track there as Rectify dived down the inside of him, and he moves himself up into P14 there. So not ideal from the 2 IRT drivers there. Standing right behind Bompier. I don't know if Bompier should fight this, because he's got 4 drivers in the same team as him right behind him. So I'll make that 3, because Joshua's in the middle of them. Joshua's in the middle there of the IRT drivers, and the IRT sandwich is Joshua.
Exactly, and also seeing the owner watch this Grand Prix, he needs to be careful which move he goes for at the end of the day, and if he made the right call by staying out there. So a very interesting view of the team owner here, but of course let me make clear I'm watching as a neutral. Steiny's gone for a spin in the final turn here. Doesn't seem to have picked up any damage, it looks like, but looks like he's not the one who's supposed to be replacing Nico Hulkenberg for 2023, it seems like, for the moment. So here's the gap is about 7 seconds now to Duil, who's in the DRS window of Nick. And that battle still going on for a couple laps. Both vehicles, DRS to team right now was AJ's picked up a 3-second penalty in the meantime.
That was so close there from Joshua, almost lost at the exit of turn number 5 there, that left-hander, because I think he took too much curb, the back end stepped hard on him, and then he saved it. So that was a good save there from Joshua as he continues to fight back. And yet again, he's stuck behind Bompier, and that's cost him a lot of time, because Leroy Griff was able to get ahead of Bompier, and they've pulled away. Whereas Joshua is still stuck behind him. He needs to get past him then on this lap, next lap, when he gets DRS, because Bompier won't have DRS on those guys ahead. So Joshua should be able to get past him. His teammate, however, is putting pressure on Liam. Liam's 3.5 seconds behind Jeroen and Walter. Can Leo get Liam into turn number 1 there? Bit of a tongue twister, that one, because I've been messing up on that one for quite a bit now, Liam and Leo. Throughout the whole season.
Same, totally. It's just difficult, especially with them just following each other in the DRS right now. Because then you're gonna say Liam is following Leo, and people might be a bit confused here. So I can totally understand you being confused about that one here. Watching the leaders right now, Wouter is not able to pull away from Jeroen here. The gap was about a second, 1.1 at some point, but that gap has now come down to under a second now. As Jeroen has pretty much used all of his ERS, and Wouter using quite a bit to stay ahead of Jeroen here. So this battle is going to carry on for the rest of the race. And again, like we saw in the first, and Liam just can't match their pace as Leo is now really close behind, with Nathan just watching the battle continuing. As actually he's got quite a lot of ERS, 84% compared to 60% of Liam and Leo's 49%. So Nathan's just watching the battle, saving his tires and bouncing at the right moment. I think same for Mark. Mark's got 40% ERS, but probably just managing his tires quite a bit. And AJ seems to be the one who's really trying to use a lot of ERS to stick behind these guys and not fall outside the 1 second window.
And Leo then puts in pressure for Harvey's retired on the track. That could be a safety car. Yes, it is.
Quickly interrupting you, it seems to be getting a bit cloudy here for the Hungarian. Are we gonna see some rain here potentially? As the clouds are really starting to come in, and with the safety car now coming out, this will of course extend time here for the Grand Prix. And could we see some rain maybe potentially? Is that maybe a call drivers are gonna make? And are we gonna see people make a pit stop now with the safety car coming out? I reckon from P10 down, I think you could see guys pitting for new set of mediums if they've got that option selected to go to the end of the Grand Prix.
Bompier, Joshua, I don't know how many mediums they've used so far in this race, but they should have used, the hard runners should have used 1 if they haven't made a pit stop on the first lap. Yeah, so the hard runners should have a second set of mediums if they use the balanced strategy, the people that start on the mediums, I must say, and the hard, sorry.
Totally, Bombi of course hasn't made a pit stop yet, so he's got I think 2 sets of mediums left. Evans has only used 1 set of mediums, so I think he's got 1 more set left. Rest of I'm not too sure about him. I think he's still on the hard, yeah, he's still on the hard tire, so I reckon he's gonna go for another set of mediums. As indeed, look at the guys, it was actually Liam staying out, pretty much Leo staying out, Tigre staying out. There you go, Bombi making pit stop, Duel making a pit stop. I'm not sure why Evans, Tigre have not made a pit stop yet, as it's pretty much a free stop you can make, and you've got fresh tires then. So we're gonna see. Actually, oh my goodness, rain is coming because Bombi is gonna set of intermediates. This guy's gone off the absolute. He's gone absolutely nutty. I don't know what's going on with McLaren and Haas, because Sai is also going for set of intermediates.
Well,
so there is indeed rain coming here for the Hungarian. This race is gonna spice up definitely.
Well, this rain needs to hit the circuit now, because Bompi and Stanley will be driving on the Inters on a dry track, where the tyres will be teared up immediately. We saw like Pierre Gasly went on the wet tyres at the dry Hockenheim circuit in 2018, and Kimi Räikkönen back in Sepang on the wet tyres in 2009. This could be another big mistake, because this rain needs to hit now. If it doesn't hit now, then they're going to look silly on those inters. I give it.
Bonepie hasn't really got much to lose because he was down in P11 and he still had to make a pit stop, so he had pretty much nothing to lose. So I think it's interesting call to make. If it does pay off and the rain does arrive quickly, then he surely is going to benefit. Same from Steiny here. Are we going to see other guys also making the same call they did? Doesn't look like it for the moment. But go on, Jamie, what do you want to say?
I was going to say anything, mate, but I think, yeah, Mick's in the pit lane as well. So is he also going to follow that group of cars who's on the inters? But I don't think this is the right strategy. I can't even see a spitter range so far. So as I dare say, 1 lap before the safety car ends, these one lap before the safety car ends, they need to pit and get off those inters because that's going to completely shred their race, literally on those tyres as well. So I don't see any rain for the time being, and the safety car should stay out for 1 more lap. And if the rain doesn't come, they're going to go on the back on the dries. Yeah, it's too early. It's way too early. There's not even 1 drop of rain hitting the circuit, so they should not be on the inters.
Then again, the clouds have come quite quickly here. Literally, the clouds, if you go back to watch the stream here, the clouds really start to appear around lap 16. So the clouds have come in quite quickly here. So I think they reckon the rain will come in quite quickly, but I think the safety car will come in this lap. So if it doesn't start raining in the 3rd sector, then they're going to be losing so much time because the rain has to arrive first of all, then it's got to get wet enough for the inters to make it work. So I don't think, like you said, it is a good call from these guys to pit for the inters.
Yeah, they're going to be looking silly now on those intermediate tyres. The safety car is in this lap, so their strategy call has not worked, unfortunately, from Bonepie, Steiny and Mick. Nothing to lose, but at the same time, a bit optimistic, those strategy calls from those guys there. They can see the clouds, but the rain's not came, so they're going to be struggling with the inters, and they're going to pit. Maybe not pit, but I'm not quite sure. They're going to lose a load of time then once these guys get going for the second safety car restart caused by Harvey Lees, who crashed the same place actually as I think it was, I can't remember who it was. Somebody spun there. It was Pyro who spun there, but he didn't cause a safety car. Second race safety car restart. Leo was all over the back of Liam, and once again he's all over the back of him. Then no bump here in front to try and disrupt him. As we make our way down into turn 1, you can see the better straight line speed from Liam there. Liam covers the inside, making Leo go all the way around the outside into turn 1. But let's see who gets a better exit, which is Leo. Leo gets a much better exit. I think Liam had the massive oversteer heading into turn 1, and the back end was stepping out. You can see the Haas and the Red Bull going side by side. Nathan has the inside line for the next corner. Can he try and get ahead of him? No, he can't. Mark is up into P5 on his return to racing. The Maltese driver on his way up into P5. Can he get a podium, Mark, in these sort of conditions here?
As we see now, the rain is starting to drop down here, so the call of Bonepie has some sort of worked out because the rain is now starting to fall, and these guys have got to hope that rain falls quickly and the mediums are starting to drop off quite quickly as indeed starting to fall down now. So what will the guys do? Will they make the right call? Will they pit now or wait for a couple of laps here?
Usually takes about 2 laps for the rain to really impact the circuit or impact the dry tyres to go on the inters, but the gap is 7.6. Liam's gone for a spin and he's crashed. Liam has crashed out of the race. That's a small crash, and unfortunately he's lost.
And safety car.
Oh, safety car. Oh.
So this is perfect for Bonepie, Evans, Steiny and Mick, because Evans straight away, perfect call from Evans. Evans has gone into the pit straight away, predicted there was going to be a safety car, and has gone for it, and is going to put on a set of intermediates right now.
I can see Bonepie, Steiny and Mick catapulted up the order. This safety car has played out beautifully into the palms of the McLaren, Hassan, AlphaTauri and the Williams of Josh then. And Bonepie is only 10 seconds away from the lead of the race. And I know he has a delta, but Bonepie, I dare say, has to ignore that delta once these guys pit and bomb it on the straight and slow down once again, if that makes sense. Because Bonepie's got to ignore the delta once these guys pit and try and push as hard as he can to try and overcut them or undercut them or get ahead.
And also the guys who are within the same team have to double stack, like Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston Martin and Red Bull all have to double stack into the pits now. Luckily for Leo, of course, Evans was quite low down already, but he doesn't have to double stack. But guys in the same team have to double stack and will drop way behind. As we see now, Bowser going into the pits, Jeroen, Leo, everyone going to the pits. It's the right call to make right now. Because it's pretty much a free pit right now.
I dare say, oh, sorry about that.
Go on, yeah.
I dare say, with this safety car coming out, they may. Nah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Bompier is about to take the lead of the Hungarian Grand Prix, which he did not expect. And guess what?
No,
his
it's
IRT.
dual.
Oh, it's dual.
It's dual. Dual stays out. Dual thinks I'm gonna stay out on the dry tires, and he thinks it's not gonna be raining hard enough. That could be an interesting call as well. Will it rain hard enough here? And will it be good enough for Dual? Dual thinks I'm not gonna double stack, otherwise I'm gonna be lost. So it's gonna be really interesting if Dual can make it work. So Boompi is the professional P1 at the moment.
Yeah, I think double stacking would have been better because he's caught the safety car dual, and everybody's going to catch the safety car. So once he makes his pit stop, he'll drop down into dead last dual. So I think double stacking would have been better than staying out. I'm afraid, but dual would look really smart if the rain stopped right now. Yeah, if the rain stopped, he'd look really smart.
Yeah, indeed, but it doesn't seem to be raining quite enough yet. You can, if you watch the surface normally, you can see these wet spots are on the track right now. But if you're on ball with the drivers right now, you cannot see the raindrops as heavily. Actually, as we're talking about it now, you can clearly see some spots of rain now entering the track. So I think it's now time for the inters here. So I think Dual has got to admit defeat and just pit for the inters. Because if you're on ball with the drivers right now, you can clearly see wet spots on the track right now.
This is Bompier's first ever podium a few seasons ago at the same track at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Can he make it his first ever win? And Dual staying out, so he's going to be sliding around on those medium compound tyres. Bompier has got to be really careful about Dual because Dual will be sliding all over the place on those medium compound tyres. And once that happens, Dual's got to make his way past very quickly and cleanly and make sure he doesn't make contact. This could be Bompier's first chance of a CRL win. He's never had one before. He's had about 3 podiums in CRL, but can he convert this one into a win? An unexpected scenario around here. And the best part about it is, guess what, Stevan? He's got his teammates right behind him, IRT.
Of course, this is a drivers' championship and not a team championship. So, of course, IoT is in their name. IoT, Boompi, Steiny, and Mick. But of course, they will just fight for their own success in the championship. So, because I reckon Steiny is gonna be looking out for the win as well, because he took a little bit of a break from league racing as well, so he's looking to get a win as well. I'm not sure if he's got a win in CRL. Do you know that, James?
I don't know. I think he's one of them drivers who has, but on an odd scenario like this one. I'm not quite sure if he has or not, but yeah, I think Stanley has definitely had a win before, but I can't exactly remember when or how it was. He's one of them drivers who's been around so long, and he's had some decent pace when he was racing. It's like the Irish New Potato, and the rest of them had those odd times of getting a victory.
Steiny has won Monza last season apparently, so Steiny has won the race before, and Boompi hasn't. As safety is coming in right now, the track is completely wet. It's completely wet here, so I think Dual is going to be really struggling. Has got to admit defeat here as the power really arrived here.
That Monza race last season, yes, I remember now. Stanley won that. I knew he won a race, but I just couldn't remember how he won it or when he won it. But this is a big chance for a 6th different winner in CRL. And Bompi's got to be really careful about Dual's actions because he'll be sliding around on those medium tyres. Like the Turkish Grand Prix, at the when Sebastian Vettel pitted for mediums, but this time he stayed out on them. Here we go then for the safety car restart. Bompier has to get past Duval, so does the rest of them very cleanly then to have a chance of a race victory. We're about to see a 6 different winner as Mick is under pressure from to right behind as we head into turn number 1 then. Look at the Williams going down the inside. Did he make contact? No, he didn't. That was Leo from a long way back taking advantage of Rubin, gets a bad exit and therefore stays in 6th place, essentially from a long way back. But Bompier and Steiny go around the outside of Duval. They're going to be really careful not to make contact, and he did make contact and Duval sent him to a spin. Chiroon is up into 3rd place and Steiny there loses 2 wheels. Chiroon there as Walter did hit the back of Steiny, that's got out of shape. That's why he spun the car, but Steiny's lost his front wing. And what a worst possible scenario after getting a big shot of the race victory there as he makes contact with Walter as Mark is up to 4th place. So Bompier leads them away ahead of Giroud and Walter then. Can Bompier defend from Giroud and Walter? Not ideal now for Bompier because he was hoping that Mick and Steiny would defend from these two. But fortunately there for Bompier, is left out with one hand tied behind his back with these guys ahead of him. And look at that, Giroud Vizsla then will take the lead of the Grand Prix. Look at Bompier's tyre age, he's 4 laps older already than Giroud's. That's probably why he's struggling a little bit because he was out in the dry conditions. And Walter takes advantage then, going down the inside into turn number 14 ahead of Bompier. And no, Bompier is still sticking down the inside trying to fight with the Dutchman. It's a Dutch 1-2-3 so far as Walter goes around the outside of Bompier. And he puts himself up into P2 as the Aston Martin Duval has gone for a spin as you expect on those tyres.
As AJ and Stein have gone both into the pits here. We're going to watch out Leo, because Leo was really impressive in qualifying in the same intermediate conditions here. And now of course it is intermediate once again with 10 laps to go here. So Leo is going to be one to look out for as Mick seems to be struggling quite a bit, already dropping 1 second behind. Of course we don't have the DRS in the wet here, so drivers have to do it on pure straight line speed and DRS power.
So, that was close. That was close between Bompier and Mark down at turn number 6. Mark fancied to go down the inside, but thought better of it because it was coming. It was closing. It was a door closing on him if he'd made that move. And Mark, on his return to racing after taking a long hiatus, has fancied a chance of a podium here, taking away from Bompier. Bompier, however, he would have wished it was the other Haas behind him working together, but instead it was relentless Mark who's going to try and get a podium away and make it a relentless 2-3 if he can. And he's all over the back of Bompier. I was about to say relentless 1-2, but I realised Giroud's an FVR now. But Mark is all over the back of Bompier then. Can he try and set himself up at the last corner, try and get him into turn 1? Mick under big pressure from Leo then. Like you said, Leo's the one to watch out for with good pace in these conditions, as Williams has always had, and Joshua's in P8 as well for good measure. As we now make our way going down to turn number 1, I think Mark is a little bit too far back unless he sends it into turn number 1. No, he's not going to send it. He's way too far back on that occasion then, but he'll love to get past him to try and get a podium, especially in his return back to racing as well, his first race in a long time. And he stays behind Bompier for the time being. Can Bompier defend the final point, the final podium in this race? I want to go back to the safety car restart because it all kicked off down at turn number 2 with Duval being a road blockage and AJ's retired in the pit lane, unfortunately for him then. So this rain's cost some people a little bit there as Leo's all over the back of Mick. Once we get a break in these guys battling, I want to talk about that safety car restart moment because that was the pivotal part in the race, it must be said. But as you can see then, these guys following each other as Bompier defending as much as he can. He really wants a good result after being lapped in Imola last time round. Defending as much as he can against these guys who've got much more experience and I dare say better tyre pace as well, because look at the difference between the tyres. Bompier did 2 laps on those tyres in the dry, which may have cost him a little bit there. In terms of tyre life, you can see the Williams of Leo moving out to try and put Mick under big pressure, force him to a mistake, but that's not going to happen. Mick defending as much as he can as well. Remember, Bompier and Mick pit at the same time to go on the intermediates in the dry period. That's why he may be struggling a little bit now. But Walter is 1 second outside the DRS range of Giroud, and Leo then is up into 6th. He's defended from Nathan. He had a bit of a moment coming out the final corner, did the Williams driver. He's under pressure then from Nathan. He was putting pressure on the AlphaTauri but falling into the clutches of the Red Bull. And look at the mark then. Almost got alongside Bompier there, but Mick's taking advantage there. Mick is going to go around the outside into turn 2, but he's got the grip to do so. And look at that, the Williams and the Red Bull have made contact. They're going side by side as well, and Mark stays ahead unless Mick can go down the inside, which he can't do so. And Leo has got ahead of Nathan then into turn number 2. So Nathan has lost the place towards the Williams then, and he moves himself up into 6th place as Mark goes deep on the brakes as Mick tries to look for a way through. And look at that then, making contact between the AlphaTauri, Williams and Haas as they both got bit out of shape into turn number 6 there. Had to slam on the brakes to avoid losing his front wing, did the Williams driver and the AlphaTauri, must be said. Mark was struggling out of turn 6 for traction, which had the AlphaTauri and... he has made contact with the AlphaTauri again. Mick, and he's going to go around the outside. Apologies for this, I am ill. So is Stefan.
Keep going, Jamie's doing well. Also now Leo has passed Mick as well. Mick trying to get over to overtake Mark here around the outside and then switching to the inside of turn 3 here. Didn't quite manage to work. Both drivers making slight contact with each other, but it seems to be fine at the moment. Also we saw Ferg making contact with his teammate Leroy, though Toto Wolff won't be impressed with that one. As Ferg's picked up some front wing damage, I reckon. Here, but as Nathan is now getting past Mick, and Mick really falling down the order here. As Evans is now trying to get past on the around the outside as well. Here, for the final couple of laps here of the Hungarian Grand Prix, Mick defending for his life for the moment. As Bopie is honestly a tractor on track right now. The gap is now 6 seconds to the cars ahead, and he's really taking his time here and not really attacking the corners that much and just using the apex and not really trying to make a mistake here as Mark's gone out of shape here.
He puts a big pressure on Bob here, and Mark's making a few mistakes as well. And Leo looking to take advantage after losing out at the second safety car. He starts pushing Mark through the corners, and both of them know there's a podium on the line as Bompier's on all the tyres and he's struggling for pace. Leo's pulling out to try and put Mark under pressure, telling him he's there, but he's not going to fall for that one. And can Mark just get a decent exit at the final corner to try and get in into turn number 1? So can Leo as well. Mark's going to watch out. He's going to attack and defend at the same time. Also got to make sure he doesn't hit the back of him. Bompier. If only I wasn't ill, this could be much better, the commentary. As we make our way then on the straight, Mark is in the slipstream of Bompier. Can he try and go down the inside of turn number 1? Yes, he can then. Bompier's going to try and stick it around the outside if he can, but Mark's have a better exit with the inside line. And yes, he can then. He moves himself up into P3, but does he? Because Bompier's coming back as he goes down the inside. Leo, they both make contact, and Mark's been sent to a half spin. And Leo's taking advantage. He moves up into P4 ahead of Mark. He's all kicking off down here at turn number 2. And Bompier defending as much as he can. He came back at Mark. They both made contact. Mark got out of shape, and Leo was able to go underneath Mark into turn number 2. And Leo's back in a potential podium spot if he can try and take Bompier on. Bompier, 5 laps left to go. Can he keep the podium? Look at that, he's gone wide through this. Leo's had a massive mistake there through that corner, had a bit of oversteer, but he gets up into P3, and here comes Mark as well. He moves up into P4 ahead of Bompier finally, but unfortunately for him it's not a podium.
Not a podium for Bompier. He tried his best defending from that.
I'll try my best to commentate.
I'll take it over for you right now, Jamie. Don't you worry. Take a sip for a drink or something. I'll take it over for now. As Bompier, honestly tried his best defending the P3, but Leo and Mark had so much more pace than him, so much more confidence in the rain here, and maybe those 4 extra laps have really done it here. Really puts the difference as how Nathan in the DRS in slipstream here of Bompier going down the inside here. The Red Bull goes and breaks Bompier, so Bompier's lost 3 positions here unfortunately. Trying to come back on the exit here, both on the same amount of ERS here. As Nathan I think has got the move done here. As Duel has retired, Duel has actually crashed on tracks, and that's
a safety car.
The 3rd safety car on track right here, and this will mean the cars will bunch up once again. So
more contacts. This
Evans with a penalty, Evans with some damage.
Mick.
As Evans now picked up a 5-second penalty here. I was about to say Evans is a driver without a penalty, so he could gain from the cars ahead, but it seems like he's got to make a pit stop here, as it seems to be a bit confusing here, probably with the delta here, because there's a delta glitch where the timer goes like into the minuses by about 4 seconds. So drivers have to slow down, and drivers ahead or behind may get called out from that, and it looks like Evans did from that glitch, unfortunately. So he's gonna make a pit stop here. This will promote Leroy, Recify, T-Griff, Steiny back up ahead of those guys.
I did see, I was aboard with Bompier, and I felt some contact from the back of us. Mick drove into Bompier, then Joshua drove into Mick, and they both lost their front wings as well. So that's unfortunate from those guys there. I'm not quite sure what happened. Like you said, miscommunication from the Delta or Mick.
Mick nearly ran into the exit ball that nearly the teammate Maldik there, where he just took off his suspension there, but he seems to be fine for now, as both the AlphaTauri and the Williams are now into the pits. Will, I think, just about make the head of Steiny here. But, interesting race so far, as all the guys will stack up now. Leo has got really good pace, so what can he do against Jeroen and Wouter? Will Wouter have an opportunity again to overtake Jeroen here after the exit here? Jeroen has not led a single lap of this Grand Prix, as Evans has gone for a set of wets here, interestingly.
I want to talk about that safety car restart, the second one, when Duel was on the dry tyres. And what we didn't mention here, that is Wouter made contact with Steiny, and they both put offline. Jeroen was able to go underneath Wouter, because Wouter led majority of the race, but unfortunately for Wouter there, made contact with Steiny, and Jeroen was able to go through and take advantage of that one. So Jeroen there might become the 6th different winner of CRL. He hasn't won a Grand Prix, he's been on the podium twice I believe, and he's about to become a race winner here in CRL for the first time this season. So it all kicked off at the safety car restart we saw, with Duel being a road blockage for everybody on those medium compound tyres. Steiny, he tried to go around the outside, but he connected wheels with Duel, and they both got slowed down in the corner, which allowed Jeroen and Wild to get ever so close. Wild to hit the back of Steiny, and thankfully he didn't get any damage, and Steiny got put out of shape there, and he lost a few positions further down because he spun, I think, as well at the exit of that corner. So if it wasn't for Duel being on those mediums, we could have had the 1, 2, 3 from the IRT boys. And what could it have been if those guys defended against Wouter and Jeroen there? If Mick and Steiny was able to hold on and defend against Jeroen and keep Bompier in first place there, but unfortunately they never happened, because Mick, he already got overtaken down at turn number 1 before turn number 1, as Wouter got a much better safety car restart than him, and he went down the inside into T1, took third place away, or fourth at the time being, because Duel was first, or third actually. It was fourth, and there's nothing that Steiny could have done there, because he got tagged from behind, and Wouter and Jeroen was able to go through, and Duel was just in the way basically on those dry compound tyres. There was no way Duel could have defended on those guys. So it all kicked off down at turn number 2 there. A lot of drivers losing time and losing positions because of that, it must be said. And Jeroen, however, despite all of that, was able to take advantage of all of them when they had their problems and take the lead of the race, which he didn't expect, because he was stuck behind Wouter throughout the whole of it. Bearing in mind though, after the first safety car restart, he was able to stick in the DRS range of Wouter, and what could about it could have been between those two before the rain hit. And it's pivotal that happened, because the wet conditions, it's so hard to overtake around here. Jeroen is now able to stay in first place and keep Wouter behind, because there's no way Wouter can overtake it, especially these conditions here. Jeroen, all he needs is a diesel exit and use the ERS down the straight, as it's easy to regenerate the ERS in the wet conditions, and that's what the pivotal moment was there. Jeroen taking the lead of the second star restart down at turn number 2, and safety cars in this lap.
Indeed, safety car coming in this lap. It will be a very interesting safety car restart, with only 2 laps to go after this one, so it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen here. Our driver's going to risk it for some point. Of course, it's nearing the end of the season, as it's the second last round of the championship here, so I think drivers are just going to go for it. Will we see another train behind Bompier? Will we see Leo go for a move against Wouter and Jeroen? We're about to find out.
And it looks like Jimmy's got a much better exit as well, because he caught Walter napping a bit. He's got a bit of a margin between himself and Walter, so he gets the perfect dream safety car restart. However, Leo, our pole sitter, is right behind Walter then as we make our way down this main straight. Heading into turn 1, he was our pole sitter for qualifying. He lost start at the start of the Grand Prix, fell down to 4th place, and Reservoir has overtaken Bonpierre with those fresher intermediates. He goes down the inside, but Bonpierre with the switchback, looking to take advantage, but gets a bad exit coming out there. Massive oversteer for Bonpierre there, and Reservoir moves himself up into 7th place then ahead of the McLaren driver. Bonpierre has fought so hard in this race to try and keep those guys behind, but fortunately there has not paid off for him whatsoever. It could have been an interesting one if it was the IRT 123, but unfortunately that never happened, and it turns out to be Jeroen who's going to win this Grand Prix if he keeps it nice and clean towards the end. 2 laps left to go in this race. I wonder how Walter's feeling, because he had it all under control until that moment happened down at turn number 2 when he tagged Steiny. They both went out wide, and Jeroen was just able to take the lead off both of them and move himself up into P2 and get ahead of Duval on those medium tyres as well. So Jeroen then, it's all played into his hands ever since that moment happened, and that was the most pivotal moment in that race, because otherwise it'd be very hard to overtake Walter in that race, being in these conditions. And Joshua has got past to Griff. He moves himself up into P9, and they've got a big battle going on here then, as Mick trying to go down the inside then. To Griff has lost 2 places actually, and Jeroen, Joshua is up into P9 ahead of Mick there. And these guys are much fresher tyres in comparison to the guys ahead as well, so I wonder, well, it is the last lap, so I wonder how many positions could Joshua gain. Can he get Bonpierre on this last lap, being on 14 lap fresher tyres than him? We've got a Reservoir at the back of Leroy then, as we make our way down this main straight. Can he overtake him in the first corner? No, he can't, unfortunately for him. So he has to sit back unless he get a decent exit coming out of turn number 1, heading into turn number 2. Looks like he has. He's all over the back of the Mercedes. He's going to go alongside the Mercedes into turn number 1 if he can. Try and go around the outside in these conditions. It could be very hard to do so. And the Mercedes of Leroy just stays in P7 there. Joshua, however, putting big pressure. I can see a massive tank slapper there from the Aston Martin trying to get on the throttle, but look at the Williams then trying to go around the outside. Oh, he cuts the corner, does Joshua, but doesn't make the overtake. Might have to give that place back, which he doesn't have to because he stayed behind Bonpierre. So fair racing there from Joshua, because he could have got him easily if he did that. And crucially here, doesn't pick up a penalty because he did have one, but he did serve it in the pit lane to get rid of that 5-second time penalty, so he doesn't lose any positions. But can he get Bonpierre in these last few corners then with better tyres and better traction for him? However though, out in front now you can see Joshua sliding. Out in front, Jeroen Visser then holding on to the lead of the race with Barton right behind them. Leo in P3 sticking with the Ferrari, but unfortunately he has run out of time. It's been an interesting Hungarian Grand Prix ever since the rain came on the second safety car restart. Jeroen is about to make his way towards the final corner. He wins the penultimate race of the season with Barta in P2, Leo in P3, Mark on his return to racing in P4. It could have been a podium unfortunately for him, but he spent too long behind Bonpierre. Nathan in P5, Bonpierre P6, Joshua P7 and Mick P8. What a race that was. It's been a crazy race, and it's been an interesting one, especially for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
My goodness, indeed, like you said, Bonpierre driver today for being a train pretty much, but that was indeed a very good Grand Prix with a lot of battles, more overtaken than I expected, to be honest, from this Grand Prix, since Hungary is a very difficult track to overtake, but many guys going for it and leaving just about enough room for each other here and there. There were some crashes indeed, but a very good Grand Prix. So who was your driver of the day then, if we have to name someone?
I want to say Mark. Look at P18 to P4, Bonpierre P19 to P6, Joshua P7 to P7. Joshua always having a good race in the wet conditions, but Mark has done a fantastic job coming from P18 on the grid, and it's his return to racing as well, so he's not been in this scenario for a long time. I actually don't know, to be honest, to give the driver of the day. Bonpierre stayed on as much as he could. I don't know, this could be a hard one. I want to know who.
I reckon I'm gonna go with Mark as well, and Leo solely for that pole position as well, and of course if you're the race winner. A bit unlucky for Wouter, who was really controlling the race until the race period, and 3 safety cars didn't really work out. He just could not quite overtake Jeroen here, but he clearly had the pace. But I'm gonna go with Mark as well, who clearly shown from P18 manages to keep it clean and work his way up to the field and be there when it matters. So be for him, and he will be our driver of the day, I think.
If Mark got a podium, it'd be 100% a driver of the day because that was a stunning drive. It's just unfortunate he spent too long behind Bompier, and that's allowed Leo to come through and overtake them both. He spent way too long than he should have behind Bompier.
Indeed, indeed. Just unfortunate, but overall a good Grand Prix with some interesting battles and good racing with each other.
And Mick has owned up for the contact with Bompier and Joshua, so he did hit the back of Bompier.
Fair play. I mean, that you gotta respect that as well. Drivers being honest with each other and owning up to their mistakes. So big respect to Mick there as well. And who knows what's gonna happen in this what the stewards are gonna do, but he was fair play for owning up, because many people don't do that kind of stuff.
Especially me. But here we go then, the final race of the season, which is next Thursday. And join us at 8:30 p.m. Hopefully, me and Stevan will be 100% fully recovered for the next one, because you can hear us sniffing and losing our voices as well in this race. So hopefully we'll turn up with 100% recovery from both our sides.
Indeed, indeed. It should be a very exciting Grand Prix, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Hopefully you are as well. And then,
I am.
Hopefully we'll see you guys in the next one.
See you all. Take care and enjoy the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for this Sunday's race.